Your customers are your most valuable asset. So if you run a business that stores customer data, that is, personally identifiable information, including credit cards and social security numbers, you have to protect it, especially if you want to stay in business. Barracuda Networks has more than 150,000 customers worldwide who trust our security and storage solutions to do just that. Keep them open for business. Reclaim your network. Visit barracuda.com/open to learn more.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Incredibly weird night in college basketball in Knoxville, Tennessee. Vanderbilt playing Tennessee. Neither team really going anywhere. Tennessee with a big 13-point lead, and then it all came apart. Tennessee losing the game at home, but that wasn't the story. We're watching the end of the game here. And then Kevin Stallings, unhappy with what an assistant coach for Tennessee told him. Kevin Stallings.
Don't do that! Kill you! Told you 100 times!
This is Kevin Stallings' statement. One of our players acted inappropriately and violated what we believe to be a good sportsmanship following the game. In my haste to resolve the situation, I made a very inappropriate comment, talking about the Wade Baldwin situation. Well, obviously, it was not meant literally. It was still inappropriate. I apologize to the player immediately following the game. The player, Baldwin, tweeted that he stands behind his coach. He said he's the best coach in the country. Whether you agree or not, Kevin Stallings has a good record at Vanderbilt. He has put outstanding teams on the court and has mostly handled himself in an exemplary fashion. But by trying to do the right thing last night, Kevin Stallings made a mess out of the situation. And I strongly believe there should be consequences. He apologized, but that is simply not enough. I believe Vanderbilt should suspend Kevin Stallings. I think they should do it immediately. And if they don't do it, they send the wrong message. While he was trying to do the right thing, he stepped over the line. This type of behavior is not acceptable anywhere, whether it's in the workplace or on a basketball court. We'll talk about this tonight with you, and we'll get phone calls on the subject at 855-242-7285. We'll look forward to it. Also, obviously, the big game tomorrow at Rupp Arena. We'll talk to Mike Anderson coming up shortly. Right now, let's check in with Philip in Kentucky. Hey, Philip, good afternoon.
Good to talk to you, and I just want to say I agree with what you just said about the Vanderbilt coach. I just think what Stallings did was actually exactly what he was getting on to his player for doing. I mean, he cursed at the man, he yelled at the man, berated him. So I agree. I don't agree with that. I don't think they should allow that to happen.
Well, here's the problem with what he did. He was trying to do the right thing, but what Baldwin did was wrong. But was it really so far over the line? Was it so egregious that it was able to get a reaction like we had? I mean, first of all, I don't think anyone in their right mind is taking or took Kevin Stallings literally. I don't think Kevin Stallings really was going to kill anyone. I mean, no one believes that. No one could possibly believe that. But what he ended up doing embarrassed a great university. I think he embarrassed the sport, frankly. And what I'm really surprised by, Philip, is that so many people in my business and in other businesses have defended him.
I agree.
I mean, the bottom line is that by trying to do the right thing, he made an absolute mess out of the situation. And to use that type of language, I mean, listen, we all know how coaches talk. We all know what they say in private. We all know what they say in practice. We all know what they say at games. But to use that type of language, to use the expletive word several times, to say I'm going to kill you, I mean, what kind of man is this? I mean, I've been mad in my life. I heard one of my colleagues today say, we've all used that. No, we haven't.
Yes.
I've never used that type of language, and I doubt you have either, and certainly not someone in higher education at a great private institution like Vanderbilt University. And I'm really amazed and continually shocked that we haven't heard anything. I mean, his apology didn't solve any problems. It didn't answer any questions. When is Vanderbilt going to make a statement? When is the president of Vanderbilt? When is the administration at Vanderbilt going to say something about this? Right now, their silence is deafening.
I'm with you, Paul, and let me tell you, I used to manage a grocery store. There is no way, even if an employee had done something horrible to a customer, I would have took that individual to the back and then really told him how I felt about it and what should be done. But to do it in front of everyone else, it absolutely, as you said, helps no one. It made the matter entirely horrible, and I think the SEC ought to get involved.
Well, yeah. Again, I think ultimately it's the institution's decision. I mean, I don't know. The SEC has not made a comment yet, but one thing that you could do is go in the locker room, talk to him in private, and then send him out to the other locker room. You talk about sending a message, make your player walk into their locker room, but it was grandstanding and. And, I mean, I've heard and I've read, Kevin Stallings has had issues like this before. I mean, I've never had a problem with him. I've always respected him. I think he's an excellent basketball coach. But that type of behavior is inexcusable. It's absolutely inexcusable. And to let it go, to hope it goes away, I heard someone say today on this network, well, I think Vanderbilt is just simply hoping that people forget about it, that not a lot is made out of it. Well, it's too late. The genie's out of the bottle.
I agree, Paul, and that's the thing. You hear all these other media outlets saying good things. In other words, they're not coming down on them very hard. But I think the Southeastern Conference, do you agree that they should get involved? Do you think it just should be an institutional matter?
Well, listen, I think I can't answer for the SEC. I mean, I'd rather the institution make a decision, but it's now, 10 minutes after 2 in Nashville. This game ended last night about 9 o'clock. So, I can't imagine that the officials that run Vanderbilt University are so busy that they can't deal with this. Maybe they're in coordination with the SEC. Maybe they're not. But ultimately it's up to the university to make this call. Why should it be up to the SEC to decide what? I mean, Kevin Stallings works for Vanderbilt. He doesn't work for the SEC.
Yeah, and one more quick thing, and I'll let you go. If they let this go completely, I just think it is a disgrace to Vanderbilt to allow it to happen. I'm not saying he should get fired. I just don't think they should let it completely go. Something should be done. If they don't do something about it, I think it's a bad thing for Vanderbilt. And one other quick thing, kind of off subject, Arkansas fans, I hope they understand that when you're saying Kentucky's probably going to win, you're not saying Arkansas is not any good. We respect that basketball team. I think they're one of the top teams in the nation, and certainly no one's saying they're not any good because we're saying Kentucky's going to win. And, Paul, you have a good day.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate the call. William is up next. William, thank you for the phone call.
How you doing, Paul?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Yes, I agree totally with you. Something should be done because if you had a couple arguing, they said that to each other, or one of them or both of them may end up going to jail, and even though they probably didn't mean it either. But that's something like the last caller said, he could have handled that in the locker room, not out there in front of everybody else. Making a bad problem, a worse problem, ain't the answer to that. And it's totally uncalled for. He should have better control of himself for that. And not just him, a lot of coaches. With the stuff they do, we shrug our shoulders and look the other way, but that don't make it right either. It's a way to teach and coach without doing that. You can do it.
Well, I guess William, how do you teach young people? I mean, there's one thing to do this on a court. I mean, listen, if you're in a closed practice and you're trying to send a message, things like this happen. But this was not in the privacy of your practice facility. This was in an arena with 20,000 or more seats. This was on national television. And if you can't hold your behavior, if you can't control your behavior any better than that, you have no business coaching a basketball team.
True, I agree totally. I agree. I'm on the way to work now. I just want to keep my point in. Good talking to you.
Thank you very much. Let's hear from you. Let's hear from Troy next. Troy is in Louisville. Good afternoon, Troy.
Hey, Paul. How you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
We've been through the situation. We had Gillespie at Kentucky, and he was a hothead and everything, and he got dealt with. Kevin Stallings is a great coach. Don't particularly like the way he does things, but I really don't think that it's appropriate. You kind of covered in your last call that it was kind of classless to take that kind of language out on a player on national TV and then, expect to show any kind of get any kind of credibility back to himself.
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, what makes this a difficult story is that he was trying to do the right thing to begin with, but he couldn't control his own emotions while trying to send a message to a player who had acted foolish. But what's more egregious, a player mildly, and I mean mildly, taunting the opposition, the team that you have just vanquished, or opening up on your player by using profanity, egregious profanity. I mean, it's one thing just to yell. It's another thing to say what he said, and then to even insinuate, "I'm going to kill you." I mean, that's not a line that people use.
Well, he wasn't even in the line. That's the thing. You show the image. He was still on the court, and the other guys were doing. They were congratulating each other and saying yada yada. But I mean, this guy was 3 feet from anybody when he was clapping. I mean, he realistically was just. I thought he was doing his own little celebration myself.
And you're right. And originally, Stallings opened up on the player and continued that after the game at the post-game news conference. And then when someone finally got a hold of him and said, "Hey, by the way, this is all over ESPN," then he issued his rather lame apology. But I'm not concerned about what Kevin Stallings. I'm no longer concerned about what Kevin Stallings did last night. That was then. I'm concerned about.
He's got a track record of being a hothead.
He does, but my concern right now is now. My concern right now is what's going on at Vanderbilt University, and why hasn't Vanderbilt spoken out? I mentioned a few minutes ago I felt very strongly they should suspend him. That's an opinion. That's just based on the fact that type of behavior is not acceptable. It's not permissible where I work. It's probably not where you work. So by Vanderbilt's silence so far, are they acknowledging that it's permissible where Kevin Stallings works? That's the issue.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
And we're back with Arkansas coach Mike Anderson. Tomorrow, the big game. We've been talking about it all week as Arkansas heads to Rupp Arena. Coach, thanks for the time. We won't keep you long because I don't want them to leave you behind in Fayetteville.
Well, I hope you let me get that bus, man. But thanks for having me, Paul. Appreciate that.
Let's start with you and John Calipari. You've had an interesting past, some memorable games in the last 2 years. We all know the success, but also going back to when you were at UAB and John was at Memphis. Those were must-see games. Any way to explain your success against him where others have failed?
Well, I don't necessarily think it's just me versus John. It's our teams, and our teams have play at a high level. I mean, he's a tremendous competitor. I'm a tremendous competitor, and I think when it boils down to it is how those teams play in those games. I'm sure we like to play an up-tempo style of basketball. His teams do the same thing, and so just one of those. Now we're in the Conference USA together, UAB, and he was at Memphis, and now being at Kentucky, and I'm at Arkansas, and I just think they're exciting games. They kind of go down to the wire. Whoever makes the last play, and there's some tremendous players out there on that floor. But I guess I've been fortunate on some of those games.
Yeah, you have, and your fans have let us know that, and I think that's why they're so optimistic. But I want to talk about the culture of Arkansas basketball. I mean, to say the least, you've been a part of some of their greatest teams ever with Noah and Richardson. But talk about where it is today, because it seems like it's finally there.
I think we're trending in the right direction. I think it's something that's been coming, since we got here. We had to do a lot of things in terms of bringing in the right kind of kids, changing the culture, and creating a winning environment. I mean, it's one thing to get your kids to play hard and you get them to compete, but then at the same time, you got to play to win. And I think we're at that stage now where our guys go out and every game, they think they got a chance to win.
Coach, and tomorrow, to say the least, it's a major obstacle. So, some fans have treated this like this is the end of the world. It's not. It's a game. It's an important game, but there are plenty of important games left. How do you keep your players focused, knowing that this is Kentucky, this is national television, this is the #1 team in the country?
Well, the beauty of it is our guys have treated each and every game like it's a big game, and so from that standpoint, it's the next game on our schedule. There's 3 games left in our conference race. The leader, we're getting ready to play the leader in the house and at their place. So we know it's going to be a tremendous challenge. But what a great opportunity. If you're going to be one of the better teams in the country, and we want to be one of the better teams in the country, well, you got to play the best. And it so happens that Kentucky is the best team in the country. When you talk about the #1 team in the country, great depth, great length, great athletic ability, great coach in John Calipari, and they have a tremendous atmosphere at Rupp Arena. So for our guys to have an opportunity to accept that challenge and go and play, we'll find out a little bit more about ourselves.
Coach, it's an intimidating place, to say the least, but winning there last year, what does that mean and what does that do for your club?
Well, our guys respect all opponents, but we fear no one. We had an opportunity to play those guys twice last year. Both games went down to the wire, overtime. So our guys won't be intimidated. They'll go in and with the understanding, knowing that we're going to get Kentucky's best shot, and hopefully we can give them our best shot as well.
You can't talk about this Kentucky team without examining its quest for perfection. You were part of more than two back-to-back clubs that went to the national championship game. You've seen it all. I realize the season isn't over yet, Coach Anderson, but how good is this Kentucky team in terms of history?
Well, I just think on paper, when you look at what they're doing, I think the stats say it all. I mean, they're probably one of the top scoring teams in the country, one of the better defensive teams in the country. When you talk about rebounding the basketball, when you talk about depth, and I think that's the difference in this team here, is they got a lot of quality depth. And I recall, I guess it was maybe my first year here at Arkansas, we played that team with Anthony Davis on it, and Gilchrist and Miller, and I thought that team was really, really good. But when you look at on paper what this team is made up of, they're very, very talented.
And John Calipari gets criticized, but I know your relationship with him is long and it's been ferocious, but one of respect. How do you feel like he's done with so many great players? I mean, every coach would like that many great players, that much depth, but he's handled it quite well. Would you agree?
I think so. I think he has. He's got them playing efficient basketball. They're playing quality minutes, and as a coach, that's what you want. You want your kids to go out there and compete at the highest level, and when they get tired, hey, let's get somebody else in there. And that's always been the strength of our team, is our depth. And I'm hoping it may pay off, it may not pay off, because they're just as deep as we are, and we all know they got the size. Willie Cauley-Stein is playing some tremendous basketball. The Booker kid, someone I'm very familiar with from my days at Missouri, has given them a big-time scorer that can shoot the basketball. And the Towns kid, I'll tell you what, he's a dynamite player.
Coach, I promised we wouldn't keep you long because you do have to get to Lexington, but we really appreciate you making time today. Best wishes tomorrow, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, thanks, Paul.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
So far, Kevin Stallings is faring fairly well when it comes to critics. Jeff Goodman, the lead college basketball insider for ESPN, was enthusiastic today with his defense of Kevin Stallings, saying that he had talked to Kevin Stallings. He was very apologetic. Jeff, well respected in this business. As I mentioned, effusive in his praise of Stallings and his defense. He wasn't the only one. The most influential voice in Nashville, David Climer, longtime columnist with the Tennessee, and someone I respect. I went to college with David, and not only we've been friends for eternity, he is well respected, well thought of. He just penned a column in Knoxville calling this pretty much a tempest in a teapot. He said the next time Kevin Stallings should simply throw a chair and not be caught. And David essentially blamed ESPN for creating this, turning it into a big deal. He said in typical, this is David Climer now from the Nashville, Tennessee, and he said in typical ESPN overkill, the worldwide leader in deciding what is sports news and what's not, treated the video clip like it was the Zapruder film. For those of you who don't know what that means, a man named Abe Zapruder ended up with the only video of the Kennedy assassination in 1963. I think he sold it to, I can't remember, maybe CBS or someone for a princely sum back then. And for since then, everything has been referred to as the Zapruder film. He said, I expected them to slow it down and go frame by frame to see if Baldwin's head went back and to the left. That's a takeoff on the way JFK looked after the 3 shots rang out from Dealey Plaza. David Climer goes on to say ESPN's alleged experts pontificated on what might lie ahead for Stallings because somebody decided this was an unacceptable breach of coach-player protocol. Apparently, Miss Manners is a producer for ESPN. In fact, I think she is. The questions were posed, might Stallings be fined, suspended, fired? You've got to be kidding me. With everything else that happens daily in the sports world, you're suggesting significant punishment for a basketball coach who has informed one of his players, albeit with questionable language, that he should not taunt an opposing player. Spare me. David Climer in the Nashville Tennessean. I don't need to repeat what I said earlier in the program. I do feel like he should be suspended. I think he was trying to right a wrong, and he made a mess out of it. Instead of using it as a teachable moment, I think Kevin Stallings went way overboard. Yes, did it help or did it hurt, for that matter, that ESPN cameras picked up everything? But Kevin, the game's on national television. I think you may have been able to figure that out on your own. But to me, in the privacy of a practice, there's a debate what type of language a coach should use, but this was not in the privacy of a practice. This was on the court while players were congratulating each other, wishing each other well. It was on television, and I thought Kevin Stallings went way overboard, and I'm still surprised. I work here. I don't run Vanderbilt University. I don't run the SEC, but I'm still surprised that Vanderbilt has not done anything else with this other than its last word being Kevin Stallings' rather pathetic apology, which he issued after he realized this was a big deal. What would a suspension do? What would it mean? Well, it would send a message that this type of behavior is just simply not acceptable. If I went into the newsroom here at ESPN and accosted someone, whether it was a colleague or a subordinate, I promise you there would be actions taken, because every organization, or at least every respected and reasonable organization, has a code of conduct. I expect Vanderbilt to have the same thing, but so far Vanderbilt has turned a deaf ear to its most visible personality and employee on the basketball front, and that is Kevin Stallings. Let's continue with more calls here. And Selena is next in Columbus, Ohio. How are you?
I'm doing fine. I was sitting here listening to that call from Lance from Tennessee and got kind of confused as to why I was yelling at you. Then I went and looked up Duke's record, and I realized that I probably would have been yelling if I had lost to a mediocre NC State team by 15 points too. So, there you have it. But what I was really calling about was the Stallings situation last night. Now, I know that coaches use language, usually it's preferred that they don't do it on national TV in the situation that the coach was in. But it brought a question to my mind that I thought maybe you and I could discuss for a minute.
Sure.
I know that Baldwin is a freshman, and I know that there have been strong suggestions that he's trash-talked or taunted opponents in the past. I know that after the last Tennessee game, he got upset because of something I think Richardson said and made a big deal about how you treat your opponents with respect after the game. So I think this is a problem that Stallings has been dealing with all season.
Well, but Selena, let me listen. I mean, here's where this is a slippery slope, because some people think he did the right thing, but to me, there's a right way to do something, and this was not a right way. This was a terrible way to do something.
I agree, and I think that it might all tie in together to one consistent problem within the program, because an 18-year-old kid playing for a major university with a well-known and respected coach, if he's told not to trash talk, he usually doesn't trash talk. But if he's still trash talking after Stallings continuously getting after him, according to what I'm seeing, it makes me wonder if there's some other type of problem in the program.
Well, but Selena, listen, to me, the locker room is where you settle this. You don't settle it out there on the court. Where I understand Stallings was emotional. He was being reactive and reacting, and what he did. How do you compare the adult in the room versus the young player? And the adult in the room is using offensive language to most of us. Even if not a single person in the world would take that literally, I promise you, that's been used in criminal cases before to convict people, to say, I'm going to kill you, whether the person was serious or not. Please, I'm not trying to connect the dots here. I'm just simply making a statement.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
We're joined now by David Climer, the longtime columnist in Nashville with the Tennessean, reacting to what some here at ESPN have said in relation to Kevin Stallings. David, always good to visit. Hope you are well.
Paul, why do you always have to say stuff like a long time columnist?
Because we went to school together. I certainly I just want the audience to know there's someone else in the business that can remember that wonderful period of time when we were the beacons, the shining lights of the University of Tennessee. Let me get to your column. I just read most of it out loud in relation to Kevin Stallings. You took a reasonable or reasoned view of what he did. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I do think it's overblown, the attention it's gotten. I will say this. And Kevin Stallings has not made a statement, to my knowledge. I think Vanderbilt's probably doing something later this afternoon. I do know for a fact that he's disappointed in himself for what he said and how he handled that situation. But I do think, given the circumstances, it just has created a life of its own and has been such a topic for really since the moment it happened. I think with ESPN quickly jumping on the tape, and as I wrote, it was like they had found the Zapruder film and were going to go frame by frame and just see if Wade Baldwin's head went back and to the left and all that. And people that know me and people that have kept up with me know that I'm not particularly close to Kevin Stallings. He and I have had good times and bad times. I've been critical of him. I've praised him on other times. So I just think this one is the shelf life seems to be a bit long for this particular situation, Paul.
Listen, we've known each other a long time. We disagree. That's fine. My opinion's already been offered. I'm more interested in yours. And in particular, your comments about ESPN, because I'll let you explain, but you seem, at least in your column, you're pointing the finger. You're not looking past what Stallings did or what the player did, but talk a little bit more about your uneasiness with ESPN and the way they handled it.
Yeah, I think spending so much time on it and then analyzing it with sort of the talking heads and speculating on whether this could lead to a suspension, even a dismissal, I think was discussed. Those things just seem really, given the situation, given everything else going on, and given Stallings' background in coaching and his history of doing things right and playing by the rules, I just found that overkill, for want of a better word. And, maybe the word kill should be banned permanently in these situations. But just on. And I think, and I know this may hit close to home, Paul, and perhaps it should, when ESPN decides there is a story out there in sports, it becomes a story, whether it's merited or not. Certainly this deserves some coverage, but I think the overdoing of that coverage creates a situation where others in the media feel compelled to jump in there and comment on it, report further on it, and extend the shelf life of the situation. I think the story by now should have come and gone, and that's what I tried to write, was kind of putting it to rest here.
Well, let me ask you a couple of different aspects of the story. First of all, the Tennessee coach bringing it to Stallings' attention was interesting, but you would agree.
Well, let me interject here, Paul.
Okay.
I think Tennessee's Sports Information Office has released a statement saying that it was Stallings who approached Tennessee staff and asked about what had happened, and so that puts it in a little different light there, I think.
Okay. Let's move to the next aspect of this, and I don't think anyone would acknowledge that what Mr. Baldwin did was incorrect or inappropriate, but David, in looking at what Stallings said, and again, I only know about it because of ESPN, just like you do. Just talk for a moment about that type of outburst, the language, and not that the language would be foreign in a closed practice, but that wasn't closed. That was on a court in front of other people, forgetting that there were national cameras around.
No, I agree with that. And again, I do think Kevin Stallings is upset with himself about what he said as much as how it was picked up and the attention it's gained. I think and this is my putting different parts together and trying to come up with a conclusion, Paul. Wade Baldwin had made some comments a couple of days before the game about how Vanderbilt was going to take it to Tennessee, and particularly Josh Richardson, who had had such a good game at Memorial Gym a couple of weeks earlier when Tennessee won in overtime. I think there's been a little bit of I won't call it a strained relationship. I think this has been a difficult coaching situation for Kevin Stallings. Baldwin is a talented player, but a bit of a loose cannon. So I think there's a little history there. And then when a situation, if there indeed is taunting, which is the case in this now, was it extreme taunting or not? I don't know. I think you'd have to, again, go back and look at a complete game tape of the game, where every possession we watched and saw what transpired. But that's really against the principles Kevin Stallings teaches. His approach is always you win and you lose with class. And again, Kevin and I have had good times and bad times as a coach, media guy relationship. But when you watch his teams play, A, they play hard, and B, they tend to play with a lot of class, both how they conduct themselves on the court during and after the games. So I think all that factored in. And yeah, did he overreact? Absolutely. Did he say something that he regrets saying? I think absolutely again. But, let's let it go.
Finally, David, obviously people will let it go, but, I mean, is this type of outburst consistent with other reactions or overreactions from Kevin Stallings?
I think that's what I keep coming back to, Paul, is he's a tough guy to play for. I think a lot of former players would tell you that. Some of his current players will tell you that. But this is an extreme situation. I'm unaware of any other situation close to this that has occurred. And again, maybe that's why I am inclined, being fairly close to the situation, to giving him the benefit of the doubt in this one. If this were an ongoing problem, if he was a classic chair tossing, throwing his jacket on into the crowd kind of guy during games, maybe I look at this differently. But this is out of character, and there's no history of that I'm aware of situations like this. So again, I'm much more inclined to give the guy a pass on this one.
We just have a second left. You said you're expecting Vanderbilt to make some sort of statement. Do you have any sense on what they'll say?
I don't know. I think it would be a very general statement. I don't think there's going to be any suspension or anything like that for Stallings. I would be stunned if that happened.
David, many thanks for the time.
Okay, Paul, thanks.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
I've been chatting for those of you fortunate enough to get the A feed to Matt Jones during our recent break. Matt Jones, of course, with the Kentucky Sports Radio Network, sitting in a spot I've never seen Cal sit in. We talked to Cal a couple of days ago. I think he called from his office. How far is his office from where you're sitting right now?
It's a little bit of a walk from here. I think eventually, once he likes you more, Paul, he'll make the walk down here and you can see him. He'll come really sweaty after practice and be good television for you.
I mean, we just talked to Mike Anderson. He actually looked excited to be on the show. Cal, it's like, we're asking for $1 million loan, which probably wouldn't affect Cal very much. Okay, before we get to the game tomorrow, we've had a couple of callers in. Obviously, the state of Arkansas has been calling in. We had a guy call in earlier and say that Duke would just embarrass Kentucky. Not that they haven't played this year, but just to those out there who are not giving Kentucky much credit. We know they've beaten a couple of schools in the ACC and pretty much everywhere else. Your quick assessment of that?
Well, first of all, I think that's laughable. I'm glad that Arkansas is playing in this game because it's awoken that fan base. They've been dormant for about 15 years. There was a time I loved watching Arkansas, the Woo Pig Suey fans, and then I sort of forgot they existed. And this week, thanks to your show, I've seen them all again. It's like a rebirth. I appreciate the trash talking. I enjoy it. I think Duke would give Kentucky a game, but the idea that they would run them out of the gym is silly. Kentucky plays too good a defense to have anybody run them out the gym. So I think Kentucky is playing right now as well as they've played all season. I think they're as good a college team as we've seen in a long time. So, no, I do not think Duke would run them out of the gym.
Let me get your reaction to some of the Arkansas fans, one of which said that Kentucky, quoting now, is slap scared of the Hogs. I realize Arkansas fans are a different breed, but what are your followers, many followers across that state that you're in right now, think of the reaction so far from Arkansas fans?
A lot of them kind of laugh at it, to be honest with you. I mean, Kentucky, here's the thing about Kentucky in a season like this, when they've been really good, is, you get this every game. Every fan base that's awake says, oh, well, they're overrated, we'll get them. Arkansas fans, though, there's a difference with them in the fact that they remember what it was like to be really good. Most teams in the SEC have not reached the level that Arkansas used to reach, so they know good basketball. But let's be honest, Kentucky opened up as a 17-point favorite Saturday. Now, that doesn't mean they can't lose. They can. Arkansas can win that game tomorrow. But the notion that somehow, like, this is going to be an easy game, I think this game sets up difficult for Arkansas for this reason. For the Razorbacks to beat you, for them to play their best, they got to run. They want to get up and down the court. They want to get in transition. They want to up tempo. And that's exactly how Kentucky wants to play. If you play Kentucky like that, and some teams have tried, Kansas, UCLA, North Carolina, Auburn the other night, it hasn't worked out well. Most teams that have played well against Kentucky, they slow the game down, they make it ugly, they keep it in the 50s. Arkansas can't do that, so I think that's why it's going to be hard for them to pull off the upset.
Just if you had to look at the game and give us a portrait of how you see it going and particularly ending up, take us through the game tomorrow at Rupp. What's going to happen?
I would look at it two ways. I'd look at it the way that I think it'll go and then the way for Arkansas to win. So the way I think it'll go, it'll be a crazy environment. It's going to be one of the loudest games in Rupp in a long time because the SEC schedule's been kind of blah, so Kentucky fans are ready to celebrate, and tomorrow I think they think is the day. I think it starts, both teams run up and down the floor. You see a lot of baskets early with both teams scoring on each other. I think Kentucky gets a 6-8 point lead by halftime, and then through most of the second half, it's a 6 to 14 point game with Arkansas in it, but not quite able to lead. Now, maybe that'll happen. Maybe they'll have periods, but I think Kentucky will kind of keep a little bit of a spread. Now, for Arkansas to win, what I think they need to do is come out, take a lead early, take the crowd out of it. Most importantly, keep Kentucky off the glass. They get 8 to 12 points a game from Karl Towns, Willie Cauley-Stein, and Dakari Johnson just getting put-back dunks. Keep them off the glass. Hope that Devin Booker and Aaron Harrison are not hitting threes. And then with 5 minutes to go, it's a 1 or 2 possession game, and they got a chance.
You heard it right there from Matt Jones. So, Matt, if you, we think the line's going to be, what, 15, 16, somewhere in there?
Yeah, it opened at 17. I got to tell you, I thought that was high. I would have put it at like 10 or 12, so I was a little surprised it was that high.
So, not that you're a betting man, but which way would you put your $5?
At 17, I'd put it on Arkansas, to be honest with you. I think Kentucky wins, but I don't think – 17, that's kind of a rout. They only beat Mississippi State by 18. So I would say at 17, I go Arkansas. If it's where I thought it should be 10, then I might give it to Kentucky. I think it'll be somewhere double digits, but not a high amount.
Well done. Matt Jones joining us from Lexington, the site of tomorrow's big game. Thanks, Matt. Always really good to catch up. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, Paul.
This is the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast.
Kaylee Hartung has been on the Kentucky beat for quite a while, and Kaylee joins us from Lexington. Kaylee, glad you made it safely from snowy Starkville to, I'm sure, snowy Lexington. Good afternoon.
Hey, Paul. Yeah, it wasn't an easy task to get from Starkville to Lexington, but I made it, and so did the whole Kentucky team, so everybody's present and accounted for.
You've been around this program quite a few times this year, both in Lexington and on the road. I realize it's only Friday, still about 24 hours to go, but what's your sense? What's your feel? Does this seem bigger?
Truth be told, from my perspective, it doesn't. I will tell you this, at the end of practice, and Kentucky just wrapped up their practice, so, a couple doors down from where I'm sitting right now, but Coach Cal told his players, get off your feet. I don't want to see you in the gym tonight. I rewatched the film from our game against Arkansas a year ago, at least the most recent one, and it was a slugfest. So he was telling his players, fresh legs, that's what's important to us because it's going to be as physical of a matchup as you'll get.
And that's interesting, Kaylee, because we hear from fans, of course, and the Arkansas fans have treated this like the end of the world. For Kentucky, I guess when you play the type of schedule that they do in North Carolina, Louisville, Kansas, you name it, Arkansas, even though the Hogs have beaten them 3 straight times, another game. Examine that part of this for us because it seems strange, but then again, Kentucky's undefeated and heading for history.
Yeah, when you're sitting at 28-0, one thing that's impressed me about this team, game in, game out, these players are a wonderfully humble group. And they say that they're attacking each game as if it's the next and the next most important game. Now, Trey Lyles did say today, while he wasn't on this team a year ago when they suffered those 2 losses to Arkansas, it's been talked about. These guys know what this Arkansas team is capable of. They know exactly who Bobby Portis is. And they understand that this is a team that could challenge them. In that sense, it does fire them up to the next level. They know that it will electrify the crowd at Rupp Arena that much more. And I think this team enjoys that type of challenge. Coach Kenny Payne said, we tell them that every team that they play is good, and then after they beat them, they're like, well, you said they were good. Well, in this case, Coach Payne said, yeah, this team is good, and our players are very well aware of that, and they expect that to fire them up.
Give us some insight, being around the players so much. I mean, we think of Kentucky players as larger than life, but they are young people, very young people for the most part. What do they like to be around?
It was actually Andrew and Aaron Harrison's dad who I thought said it best. I was talking to him before a game here in Lexington a couple of weeks ago. And he said for all of the teams that his sons have been a part of at a competitive level, even down to when they were 5 years old, in no way disrespecting any other team, he said this group of guys, this group of players, he couldn't ask for a better group for his sons just to be friends with, for his sons to be surrounded by day in and day out. There's not a bad seed in this group. There's nobody with a bad attitude. Like, they're all good kids, and they all come into the gym every day ready to work. Carl Anthony Towns said last week, if you don't show up for practice, you're going to get embarrassed. Because with the competitive fire and, quite frankly, the skill that 9 McDonald's All-Americans have amongst this group, they have no choice but to bring it every day and earn the mutual respect that they all want from one another.
Kaylee, we talk, those of us in the media at least, talk about this pursuit of perfection. It's a big theme nationally. I'm sure when you're on SportsCenter, it's always part of the conversation. What's it like being around them? I doubt they talk about it very much. They usually talk about the next game, but how are they dealing with that part of the pressure?
Yeah, Paul, if you have any tips for me as to how to get John Calipari to engage in a conversation about this pursuit of perfection, please let me know, because he won't do it. He has said, I believe they were sitting at 20-0, and he said, so what? We lose a game, we're 20-1. That's not the end of the world. At this point, Coach Cal has told me he doesn't feel pressure to stay undefeated. He feels pressure to ensure that these individual players are the best versions of themselves and playing in that manner. He sees the season as a process, which makes so much sense. It's common sense to say that, any of these players aren't going to show up day one, game one, the best versions of themselves. They will progress as the season moves along. And that's the message that Coach Cal has really been pushing all season long, is that that's the goal. Get these individual players to be the best versions of themselves. And, there is such a selfless group, they'll worry about the team. He's not worried about the team chemistry. They all get along. That element, that intangible exists. So he focuses on them, and he lets them worry about the team.
Kelly, finally, dealing with John Calipari, certainly you've interviewed him many, many times before, during and after. During a game, what is that like?
He is, I think, one of the most interesting coaches to observe, whether it's in a practice or in a game, because of the way he engages with his players. In a practice, I would fair to say I find Kentucky basketball practices the most entertaining practices I've been to, not just because of the skill that you're looking at as they go head to head, but the way that Coach Cal is involved. He's not letting his assistants, who are wonderfully qualified coaches, run the show. He is running every aspect of that practice, and it runs like clockwork each and every time. Now, when it comes to a game, if you remember back to that LSU Kentucky game, Carl Anthony Towns has the chin up, and Cal is actually cheering for LSU to succeed as a way to teach his players a lesson for what had just happened. But in game, he's coaching. It doesn't matter at halftime if they're up 28 points or if they're down by 4. He can come to me still terribly frustrated at halftime with a lead of that magnitude. But he has a way of connecting with his players and coaching at every possible coachable moment, no matter the lead or the tightness of the game, and I find it very interesting to watch.
Kaylee Hartung, are you registered to vote yet in Lexington?
I think I'm going to be paying taxes in Mississippi as a result of football season. We're probably about to hit that mark in Kentucky, too. I guess registering to vote is the next step.
At least send some bourbon our way. We're thirsty.
I could do that.
Kaylee Hartung, live in Lexington. Appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for listening to the best of the Paul Finebaum podcast. Tune into the Paul Finebaum Show every day from 3 to 7 Eastern on the SEC Network or on the ESPN radio app.
Geico presents Strange Saving Stories. Astronomers detected an interstellar transmission. It stated, Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more. The implications were staggering. Was the cosmos telling us we could all save hundreds on car insurance with Geico? Or did their radar merely pick up a signal from the nearby Rufus and Clyde's morning show? We may never know.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.